Springs in the air, there's magic everywhere. Springs in the air, there's magic everywhere.
I am Ralph Carter. Fortunately for me in my life, I had the opportunity to work on a television series entitled Good Times.
The terrible Ralph Carter secret that really destroyed him was his refusal to play their game.
I do deserve to be punished. But tonight is special, JJ. I mean, you can ground me for a week, a month, a year. I don't care, but please.
For 40 years, Hollywood has whispered the same rumor about the young star who vanished overnight. But what if everything you've heard was designed to hide something much darker? Ralph Carter knew something. He challenged the wrong people. He refused to play their game. And then, he disappeared. What really happened to the boy who dared to speak truth to power? Let's get into it. In the 1970s, Ralph Carter was one of the most recognizable young black actors in America. He played Michael Evans on Good Times, the brainy, politically aware youngest son who always spoke up about injustice and black pride. But outside the show, and especially once Good Times ended, Ralph Carter's name kept popping up. Not in the news, not on TV, but in whispered conversations and online message boards. The focus wasn't on his acting, or his talent, or even why he disappeared from the spotlight. It was on something else entirely. The rumor had legs. It didn't come from a tabloid story or a leaked document. It started with people's perception, how Ralph Carter carried himself, how he spoke, how he dressed. A soft voice, a gentle smile, fitted clothes. For some people, that was all they needed. One user posted a review on IMDb in 2005 that summed up a lot of the talk that had been going around for years. It started by saying, bluntly, that Ralph Carter in real life is a gay man. But then it did something interesting. Instead of just repeating gossip, the reviewer actually broke it down, not to spread the rumor, but to challenge how people think. They pointed out that Ralph didn't even pick his own wardrobe on Good Times. Like every actor on a network show, he wore what the wardrobe department handed him. And back then, tight pants weren't weird. They were the style. Whether you were straight, gay, rich, poor, white, or black, if you were on TV in the 70s, you were probably wearing slim-fit bell-bottoms. The reviewer went even further, explaining that clothes, voice, or mannerisms aren't proof of someone's sexual orientation. Quoting directly, "You cannot tell whether people are gay just by the way they dress. There are tons of gay/bi/lesbian folks in music, sports, and movies, and you would never know it from how they dress. Most gay, bi, lesbian people just look like regular people, 'cause they are regular people. Don't play yourself by believing the stereotypes." They also name-checked a long list of famous Black and Latino public figures who were gay, bi, or rumored to be, like Langston Hughes, Alice Walker, Johnny Mathis, Tevin Campbell, Angela Davis, Howard Rollins, and even Billie Holiday. The message? Don't assume anything. And more importantly, it's none of your business unless they choose to share it. That post was just one comment online, but it reflected something bigger. People were saying things about Ralph Carter based on vibes, not facts. So let's go back to the facts. Ralph Carter has been married twice. His first marriage, to Lisa Parks in 1987, brought him 2 sons. After their divorce in 1992, he married River York in 1994 and had 3 more children. That's 5 kids, 2 long-term marriages, and nothing in the public record to suggest he's ever lived any other kind of life. By all public accounts, Carter has only ever been involved in heterosexual relationships. There's no official statement from Carter on his sexuality, and there's no evidence to suggest he was ever anything but who he said he was. But in Hollywood, a whisper can be louder than a fact. So, what really happened to Ralph Carter? That's the part that has puzzled fans for decades. One minute, he was one of the most familiar faces on primetime television. And then, nothing. No press tours, no movie roles, no reality TV comeback. Just silence. This is where the story becomes more confusing. Good Times ended in 1979. Carter was only 18. In Hollywood, that's the age when a young actor is just getting started. That's when the doors are supposed to open wider. But for Ralph Carter, they seemed to close all at once. He did a little theater work after the show ended, a return to Broadway in the early 80s, a few public appearances here and there. But in terms of acting, his resume goes cold. No major film roles, no sitcoms, not even guest spots. For someone with his visibility and talent, the silence was strange. Some fans believed that Carter walked away by choice, that he got tired of the industry and simply wanted a regular life. And that's not hard to imagine. He'd been performing since he was a kid, literally. Broadway, music, TV. He'd done it all before he could even legally vote. Maybe he was just burned out, but others aren't so sure. It's a theory that pops up often. The idea that Carter had a falling out behind the scenes, maybe with producers, maybe with the network, or maybe with someone higher up. And as the story goes, that conflict cost him his career. Now, to be clear, there's no verified record of Carter having feuds with his co-stars or the creators of the show. He was never publicly involved in scandals or fights. But he was known for being serious, focused, thoughtful. He wasn't the kind of actor who played the class clown. That was Jimmy Walker's lane. Carter wasn't chasing the spotlight like Janet Jackson would later do with her music career. Instead, he kept his head down, said his lines, and tried to bring dignity to his role. And that may have been the problem. In Hollywood, especially for young black men, being serious can be mistaken for being difficult. If you ask too many questions, if you push back against how your character is written, if you speak up about stereotypes, suddenly you're seen as a problem. There are whispers that Ralph Carter challenged writers and producers when he felt the Michael Evans character was being flattened into a one-note stereotype. That he wanted his character to be more than just the smart black kid, that he wanted more realism, more substance. And when you're young, black, and not afraid to speak your mind, sometimes that's all it takes to get labeled. Esther Rolla, who played Florida Evans, was famously outspoken about the direction of Good Times.
Now, Gary, what you did was not very nice, and I don't approve.
She even left the show for a season because she didn't like how it was becoming too comedic, too focused on JJ's catchphrases. If she fought back, it's not hard to imagine Carter might have done the same. So was he blackballed? Was his career quietly shut down because he wouldn't play the game? Maybe, but we can't say for sure because Ralph Carter has never spoken publicly about why he stepped away. And then there's the other rumor, the one that seems to come out of nowhere, the HIV claim. There's no solid origin for this rumor. It didn't start in any interview. It wasn't reported in a newspaper, but somehow it started showing up in forums and comment sections. Some fans said they heard Carter had secretly become sick during the late 1980s. Others believed he had passed away quietly, and people just missed it. One post even suggested that his disappearance from the spotlight was because he didn't want the public to see how his health had declined. But none of these claims have ever been confirmed. Ralph Carter is still alive. He has never made any public statement about having HIV or any other major health issue. As far as anyone can tell, those rumors are just that, rumors. So why do these stories keep showing up? Because Ralph Carter left a vacuum. When someone suddenly steps out of the public eye, without a farewell interview, without a dramatic exit, people start filling in the blanks. But before the rumors, before the silence, Ralph Carter was Michael Evans, the youngest member of the Evans family on Good Times, and in many ways, its moral compass. While Jimmy Walker's "Dynamite" became the show's catchphrase, Carter's character brought depth. He was written as a militant child prodigy, bold, book-smart, and socially aware beyond his years.
Mama, they don't know it, but that IQ exam was nothing but a white racist.
Michael Evans wasn't just a funny or smart kid on Good Times. He was bold. He challenged his parents, questioned authority, and constantly pushed back against the injustices happening in his community.
Yeah, but this one was given by the white people, made up by white people, and even graded by white people. It don't tell you how smart you are, just how white.
For many black viewers in the 1970s, Michael felt like someone they actually knew. A young person who was aware of the world, not afraid to speak truth to power, and who represented something deeper than just a TV character. He was radical for a sitcom. He had edge. But here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Michael Evans was inspired by a real person. The show Good Times came from the minds of writer Eric Monty and actor Mike Evans. And that's important, because both of these men weren't just Hollywood types. They had real experiences growing up in working-class black neighborhoods, especially in the Chicago housing projects. They saw firsthand what poverty looked like, what racism felt like, and what families had to do to survive. And they wanted to bring those stories to TV. Michael, the youngest son on Good Times, was actually named after Mike Evans. The character was meant to reflect that fiery, socially conscious energy. The kind of kid who read books, challenged teachers, questioned why things were the way they were, and wasn't afraid to speak up about racism or inequality. So when casting directors were searching for someone to play this important role, they landed on Ralph Carter, a 13-year-old Broadway star who had just made waves in Raisin, the musical adaptation of A Raisin in the Sun. Carter wasn't just talented, he was unusually mature for his age. He understood complex dialogue. He could hold his own in dramatic scenes with adults. And most of all, he had the emotional intelligence to play a character who was often the moral center of the show. But taking on that role wasn't as simple as learning lines and showing up. There was pressure, a lot of it. Ralph Carter was expected to deliver heavy political monologues as a teenager. Week after week, he had to speak on issues like civil rights, economic inequality, police brutality, and more. And while Good Times was praised for being one of the first sitcoms to really address the realities of black life in America, there was still tension behind the scenes. Some producers, especially once the show gained mainstream popularity, wanted to lighten things up. They wanted jokes, they wanted easy laughs, and sometimes they didn't want Michael Evans, the activist kid, to be too militant or too real. That's where things reportedly got complicated. Some people who worked on the show have said that Ralph Carter wasn't afraid to speak up. He didn't just say the lines. He asked questions. He wanted to understand the meaning behind what he was saying, and if something didn't feel right, he challenged it. For a teenager, that kind of awareness was rare. But in Hollywood, especially for a young black actor in the 70s, it could also be risky. But Ralph Carter wasn't discovered on a Hollywood set. He came from the stage, and he came with awards. In 1973, Carter starred in the Broadway musical Raisin, an adaptation of Lorraine Hansberry's A Raisin in the Sun. His performance as Travis Younger was so powerful, he earned a Drama Desk Award and a Tony nomination at age 12. This wasn't some child actor who stumbled onto a sitcom. Ralph Carter was trained, disciplined, the kind of artist who respected the craft, and that may be exactly why Hollywood didn't know what to do with him. When he joined Good Times, he signed a contract that delayed his television appearance until Raisin finished its run. Even then, his Broadway background sometimes clashed with sitcom pacing.
Springs in the air, there's magic everywhere.
He also had a recording career. Ralph released music in the mid-70s. His most popular single, Extra Extra, Read All About It, charted modestly. But none of his songs truly broke out. Some fans blamed the label. Others say Carter wasn't promoted as a heartthrob like other teen stars. Quietly, his music career faded. And just like that, so did his fame. You see, when Good Times ended in 1979, Ralph Carter was just 18 years old. For most child stars, that's usually when the real career begins. That's the point where they transition into adult roles, pick up movie deals, host TV specials, or even launch music careers. But Ralph didn't do any of that. Instead, he faded away from the spotlight. So what happened? People in the industry have quietly said the same thing over the years. Ralph Carter didn't want to play the game. He wasn't the type to show up at parties, rub elbows with producers, or pretend to be someone he wasn't. He didn't flirt with fame the way some others did. He wasn't chasing headlines. He just wanted to do the work, and do it well. And that seriousness may have cost him. There were no messy headlines about him, no arrests, no fights, no drug scandals. He didn't spiral out of control like other young stars from that era. He simply walked away, quietly. But in Hollywood, a quiet exit doesn't go unnoticed. It gets filled with noise, and that's when the rumors started to swirl again. It became this echo chamber of speculation. The more silent Carter was, the louder the whispers grew. Let's be clear, there is zero public evidence that Ralph Carter has ever been diagnosed with HIV. There's no medical record, no official statement, no leak from insiders, nothing. It's a rumor that lives only in message boards and anonymous comments. So where did it come from? Honestly, it came from his absence. That's it. In the 80s and early 90s, especially during the height of the AIDS epidemic, anytime a male celebrity, particularly a black one, disappeared from the public eye, people jumped to the worst conclusions. This wasn't just a Ralph Carter issue. It was a pattern. Black performers who didn't fit into a certain mold, or who didn't keep chasing the spotlight, were often hit with rumors about their health, their sexuality, or their secrets. But it wasn't just gossip. It was a reflection of how the entertainment industry treats people. If a black actor doesn't stay visible, loud, or marketable, it's like they never existed. If they don't keep entertaining, they're forgotten. Or worse, they're turned into myths. Ralph Carter didn't crash and burn. He didn't mess up. He just stepped away. And instead of being respected for that, the industry, and some of the audience, punished him for it, with silence, speculation, and unfair labels. After stepping away from Hollywood, Ralph Carter did something rare for a former child star. He lived a normal life. He fell in love. He got married. He became a father. In February 1987, Carter married Lisa Parks. The two had 2 sons together before divorcing in 1992. Then, in December 1994, he married River York. That marriage brought 3 more children into his life. 5 kids total. A full house, but one that seemed to bring him peace. It wasn't that Ralph Carter vanished. He just turned his attention to something different, something more private. Instead of chasing fame, he chose fatherhood, family, and a slower, quieter pace. He became a husband, a dad, and, by many accounts, a man of faith and community. He still popped up occasionally. He made appearances at Good Times reunions. He performed on stage now and then in smaller theaters. And every once in a while, he'd give a short interview or appear at a local event. But he never went back to chasing TV deals or movie scripts. He didn't write a memoir, do a reality show, or go public with behind-the-scenes drama. Ralph Carter chose a path many stars never get to take. A simple, steady life. Today, he keeps a low profile. No scandals, no headlines. Just a life lived on his own terms. So why do people still whisper? Why did the rumors never die? Because Ralph Carter is a symbol of talent, of rebellion, of silence. In many ways, Carter's story mirrors that of other black actors who challenged stereotypes. Too smart, too proud, too political, too honest. Whether the rumors were about his sexuality, his health, or his career, they all come from the same place: confusion over how someone could leave fame so easily. And maybe that's the real reason he fascinates people today. Because in a world obsessed with fame, Ralph Carter walked away from it. He never denied the rumors, but he never gave them power either, and that takes strength. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.